policing, definitely. Columbine would be the driving force because from that point forward, law enforcement, the general practice prior to that was for patrol officers to respond, to set a perimeter, to try and protect lives to the extent they could, and then call for SWAT, the experts, to come in and deal with the imminent threat to public safety. Columbine changed all that, and these officers in Dayton, I think, displayed a couple of things. They displayed extraordinary skill and talent in their ability to overcome a person so well armed and so bent on destruction. They also displayed, frankly, incredible valor. There's nothing less than that can be used to describe what they did, because they have the background, training, and experience. Even though several of them are just barely out of rookie status, they still knew. They studied firearms, they studied the effects, they studied tactics. They had to know, and I'd be willing to bet that they went into this thing with the belief that they were not all going to survive, and that each and every one of them thought at that time, this is not going to end well for me. I'm not going to survive this. But they were duty bound to go in. And consider this: they made no attempt to determine the economic status, the race, the political ideology, the religious beliefs, sexual orientation, nothing about these people they were protecting. They inserted themselves directly into harm's way to protect other human beings. Now, that doesn't surprise me, because I have seen cases with much less notoriety on an ongoing basis over the years where that exact behavior is exemplified. But this does give the rest of society, I believe, an opportunity to look at what they have done and reflect upon the extent and the degree to which people, oftentimes for the sake of political expedience or for litigation purposes, will accuse law enforcement officers they've never met of racism, of being a bully, of being a thug. Well, this I think is a very appropriate counter to that people across this country should be mindful of and be appreciative of the fact that every instinct in a human body would take a person away from that encounter. And that's not wrong, that's not cowardly. These officers overcame that, and they went directly into harm's way. And it's not as though they were blinded to the fact that they were outgunned and in a very, very, very vulnerable position. They overcame that, they knew it, and they looked it in the eye, and they confronted it, and they saved countless lives.
So do you believe that is a tactic specifically they have learned from studying other mass shootings?
Yeah, the big change in it was Columbine. That changed everything, because there are experts in the field, obviously, and if you have time on your side, if somebody's holding hostages, we had the unfortunate distinction in my former jurisdiction of having the biggest hostage standoff at the Good Guys, April 4th, 1991, and the longest in terms of duration in the country. That was June of 2010, in which, in each of these cases, that decision had to be made. So the experts came in, SWAT went in, again, in the latter, the June of 2010 one, I actually was at the scene and gave the directive for them to stop this person at all costs, use deadly force. But that was a case where this suspect was holding his own second cousin hostage for 56 hours, an infant. And so for a protracted period of time, there was a general threat to the little boy's life, but then it became more specific. And at that point, the decision was made to use deadly force as necessary. So that in a perfect situation, still use the experts. But the reality is the first people to get there are going to be the regular patrol officers. They have to have the training, they have to have the equipment, but none of that is of any value if they don't possess the internal fortitude, strength, conviction, and valor to confront violence and evil and overcome it. And that's what they did.